1. Rainbow Magic, the Sports Fairies. Stacey the Soccer Fairy by Daisy Meadows. The locations are the Fairyland Palace, Fairyland Arena, Jack Frost's Ice Castle, parking lot, buses, Cook Soccer Stadium, basketball courts, soccer fields, swimming pool, Rachel's cousin's house, Rachel's house, Tippington School, Oval Park, skating track, Empire's Chair, Tippington Town, riding stables. The Fairyland Olympics are about to start, and my expert goblins will take part. We will win this year, for I have a cunning plan. I'll send my goblins to compete in Fairyland. The magic objects that make sports safe and fun will be stolen by my goblins to keep until we won. Sports Fairies, prepare to lose and to watch us win. Goblins, follow my commands and let the games begin. Content: soccer superstars, commentary confusion, soccer balls galore, so near and yet so far, soccer showdown, go home goblins. You look great, Dad, Rachel said, laughing, glancing at her father as she climbed out of the car. Mr. Walker was wearing a blue and white soccer jersey and a scarf. His face was painted with blue and white stripes, and he had a fluffy blue and white wig on his head. The wig's fantastic, Kirsty Tate, Rachel's best friend, added with a grin. She was staying with the Walkers over spring vacation. He's going to be the best dressed Tippington Rovers fan here. Rachel nodded. I'm glad Mom and I are just wearing scarves, though, she added. That wig looks kind of worn. It is, but I want to show my support for the team, said Mr. Walker as they left the parking lot and joined the other soccer fans heading towards the Cook Stadium. This is a very important game, girls. If Tippington beats the Compton Capitals today, the team will be moved up to the next league. Rachel and Kirsty exchanged concerned glances. They were both worried that the soccer game would be a complete disaster because the Sports Fairies had lost their magic objects. When these special objects were in their proper places, either with the Sports Fairies or in the fairies' lockets, they ensured that sports in both the human and fairy worlds were safe, fun, and exciting. Unfortunately, the objects had been stolen by mischief Jack Frost and his goblins. Jack Frost was determined to win the Fairyland Olympics, which started in just 6 days. He knew his team needed the objects to win. So he had ordered his goblins to hide them in the human world until the games took place. By keeping the magic objects close to them, the goblins would win every single event. The Fairyland Olympics couldn't be cancelled because that would ruin the Olympic Games in the human world too. Rachel and Kirsty had promised their fairy friends that they will do their best to find the objects before the games. I'm glad we pressured Mom and Dad to come to the game early today, Rachel said quietly to Kirsty. Maybe the goblin who has Stacey the Soccer Fairy's magic soccer ball will be here too. Helena, the horse riding fairy, did say that any goblin who has one of the magic objects will want to be near that sport. Kirsty agreed. The girls had helped Helena get her magic riding helmet back just the day before. She also said that Jack Frost told the goblins to practice their sports skills before the Fairyland Olympics. Yes, and King Auburn said that the winning Olympic team will get the Fairyland Olympic Cup, which is filled with luck, Kirsty reminded Rachel. Jack Frost could cause. Think how much more trouble Jack Frost could cause if he had lots of good luck. Girls, come get your pictures. Picture taken, called Mrs. Walker, holding up her camera. Oh, good idea, Rachel said as she and Kirsty hurried over to join her parents outside the stadium entrance. Then we won't forget how much work that put into his outfit. I feel like an odd one out, Kirsty joked as Mrs. Walker took their photo. I'm the only one not wearing any Tippington Rovers colors. There's a souvenir booth inside the stadium, Rachel told her. We'll buy you a scarf there. Thank you, Kirsty exclaimed as they went inside the stadium. Rachel immediately started looking for any sign of goblins, but she didn't see any flashes of goblin green. Remember, you have to let the magic come to you, Rachel told herself. But she couldn't help hoping that the magic would come before the game started. Otherwise, the game would be ruined. There weren't many people inside the stadium yet, so there wasn't a line at the souvenir booth. They headed straight to it, and Mr. Walker bought a scarf for Kirsty. Here you are, dear, said the cashier, dropping the scarf into the shopping bag and handing it to Kirsty. Enjoy the game. Thank you, Kirsty said gratefully. Let's go and find our seats, Mrs. Walker suggested. They all went into the main part of the stadium, which was still fairly empty. Kirsty and Rachel had the chance to take a good look around, but neither of the girls could see anything out of the ordinary. Maybe we should explore, Kirsty whispered to Rachel. There may be goblin missions going on somewhere else. Dad, is it okay if Kirsty and I go look around? Asked Rachel. That's fine, Mr. Walker replied, getting comfortable in his seat. We'll sit and watch the pre-game coverage on the giant TV screens. Just make sure you're back before the game starts, Rachel's mom added. The girls nodded. I'll put my new scarf on, Kirsty said as she and Rachel hurried off. She opened the bag and a cloud of glittering sparkles immediately burst from inside. As both girls stared in surprise, the scarf rose gracefully from the back with a tiny fairy perched daintily on the end of it. Commentary confusion. It's Stacey the Soccer Fairy! Kirsty cried in delight. Hello, girls, Stacey called. She wore a green and yellow soccer jersey with matching shorts and soccer cleats. Her long hair was braided and tied back in a ponytail. She hovered in the air in front of the girls as the scarf wrapped gently around Kirsty's neck. I have a feeling those very pesky goblins may be here, she added. We've been looking for them, Rachel told her, but we haven't seen any yet. Suddenly, one of the stadium officials came running towards them. Stacey quickly hid behind a fold of Kirsty's scarf, but the official was too busy speaking into a walkie-talkie to notice her. Yes, all the soccer balls in the stadium have vanished, she explained. If we don't find one soon, the game will have to be canceled. With that, he disappeared into the players' locker room. Missing soccer balls. This has goblin mission all over it, Stacey said. But why would a goblin have taken all the soccer balls? Asked Kirsty, confused. Yes, if he has your magic soccer ball, why would he need any others? Kirsty asked. I don't know, Stacey replied. Well, let's see if we can find the goblin and get the soccer ball back. Rachel suggested. Just then, one of the giant TV screens overhead caught Kirsty's attention. Rachel, look, she cried. There's your dad. Rachel glanced up and her face broke into a smile. Mr. Walker was on the TV screen being interviewed by a sports commentator. So, Mr. Walker, what do you think will happen in the game today? Asked the commentator. Oh, the Tippington Rovers will win, Rachel's ad replied confidently. I think the score will be 2-0. Your dad's wig looks great on the camera, Rachel. Stacey giggled. The commenter thanked Mr. Walker. Turned away and headed through. The commenter thanked Mr. Walker, turned away, and headed through the stadium, still talking to the camera. Okay, girls, Stacey said, or should we search for the goblins? Just as Kirsty was about to look away from the TV screen, the commenter opened the door of his broadcast booth. Kirsty noticed that there was someone inside, a small person wearing a tracksuit, a wool Tippington Rovers hat, and a red Compton Capitals scarf was sitting on the floor. He was searching through a big mesh bag filled with soccer balls. Oh, hello, said the commenter, sounding surprised. Are you here to cover the game with me? Curiously, Kirsty stared up at the screen, wondering why all the soccer balls were stashed away in the broadcast booth. The small man looked up grumpily at the commenter. As he did, the scarf, which was wrapped around the bottom of his face, slipped. Kirsty caught a glimpse of green. Oh, she gasped. There's the goblin. Where? Rachel and Stacey both said together. Up there, Kirsty told them, pointing at the TV. He's in the broadcast booth with all the soccer balls. As Rachel and Stacey glanced up at the back at the screen, the goblin pulled his scarf quickly back into place, but not before Rachel had spotted a green pointy nose. It is a goblin, she agreed, and he looks so silly wearing both Tippington and Compton colors. Let's head for the broadcast booth right now, Stacey called, already flying into the air. If the goblin's there, then I bet my magic soccer ball is too. Soccer balls galore! Soccer balls galore. Stacey and the girls rushed over to the broadcast booth. Even though they couldn't keep their eyes on the TV screen as they ran, they could still hear the commenter over the stadium's loudspeaker. He was trying to talk to the goblin. So, Mr. said the commenter, sounding confused, did you say what your name was? No, the goblin snapped. Well, who do you think is going to win the game? The commenter asked. There was a long silence. The United States, the goblin said hesitantly. Brazil? Stacey, Rachel, and Kirsty couldn't help laughing. Those teams aren't even playing here today, the commenter said with frustration. This isn't the World Cup. Well, that was a silly question anyway, the goblin declared with a loud sniff. The broadcast booth is just around the corner, Rachel panted, pointing at a sign on the wall. Soon the girls were at the bottom of a flight of stairs that led up to the back of the broadcast booth. Luckily, there was no one else. What do we do now? Asked Kirsty. They were near another one of the giant TV screens. Rachel glanced up at it. The commenter was stammering. Okay, and now back to the studio. Meanwhile, the goblin swung the door of the broadcast booth open and began to stomp out, dragging the bag of soccer balls behind him. The goblin's coming, Rachel exclaimed, pointing to the top of the stairs. The girls started up the steps. They saw the goblin appear above with them with the mesh bag of soccer balls. Stop right there, Stacey shouted. Startled, the goblin jumped and let go of the bag. All the balls tumbled out of the... It's bouncing down the steps. It's raining soccer balls, Rachel gasped, trying to dodge the balls. Look out for Stacey's magic soccer ball. Look out for Stacey's magic soccer ball, Kirsty called, darting from side to side. That's fancy footwork, girls, Stacey said approvingly as Kirsty and Rachel stepped balls. Rachel sidestepped the flying soccer balls. The goblin was rushing down the steps towards them, now trying to gather the black and white balls up in his arms. Then Rachel noticed that one of the soccer balls heading towards her was surrounded by tiny golden sparkles. Stacey's magic soccer ball, Rachel thought. Rachel thought, her heart pounding with excitement. She reached out for the special ball, but the goblin had spotted it at exactly the same moment. He dropped the other balls immediately and ran after Stacey's ball. Get out of my way! Get out of my way! The goblin yelled, shoving Rachel aside. She stumbled and the magic soccer ball bounced past her. The goblin wildly grabbed at it, but missed. The soccer ball bounced to the bottom of the steps, and Rachel and the goblin both raced after it. But at that very moment, one of the stadium officials came around the corner. He spotted the magic soccer ball and instantly scooped it up into his arms. So near and yet so far. Oh no! Rachel gasped, dismayed. She glanced at her fairy friend. Luckily, Stacey had managed to duck out of sight as soon as the official appeared, and she was now peeking anxiously out from behind a lock of Kirsty's hair. "What's going on here?" the official asked, sternly staring at the goblin. "We've been searching for these soccer balls everywhere. A ball boy is supposed to look after the balls, not lose them." The official thinks the goblin is a ball boy, Rachel realized. He must be wearing one of the official ball boy outfits. "Pick up all these soccer balls, please," the official went on. Scowling, the goblin did as he was told. He shoved the soccer balls back into the bag one by one. Rachel and Kirsty began to help. "Maybe we still have a chance to get the magic soccer ball back," Kirsty thought hopefully. "Oh, don't bother that, girls," the official said with a smile. "The game won't be starting soon, and you won't want to miss it. You should go find your seats." Recently, Rachel and Kirsty moved away. They watched as the official put the magic soccer ball into the mesh bag with the others. Then he took the bag from the goblin and headed down a corridor that led to the back of the stadium. "Come on," he said to the goblin. "We need to find the other ball boys and girls." The goblin smirked at Kirsty and Rachel before skipping off after the official. "Oh no!" Stacey flew out from behind Kirsty's hair, looking very sad. "Where is he taking my ball? We have to get it back." "That's going to be tough," Kirsty said with a frown. She pointed at a sign on the wall of the corridor that read, "Private, no public access. We aren't allowed into the official areas of the stadium. The goblin's only allowed in because that man thinks he's a ball boy." Stacey winked at her. "Well, with a little of magic, anything is possible. Maybe they could use a couple more ball girls." She waved her wand, and in a shower of dazzling fairy dust, Rachel's outfit changed. Now they were both wearing dark blue tracksuits, exactly like the goblins. "Let's go!" Rachel hurried. The three friends hurried down the hallway. They couldn't see the goblin or the official, so they began checking the rooms along the corridor. They peeked inside them, but there was no sign of the goblin or the soccer ball. As they got near a turn into the corridor, they heard a voice coming from a room. Its door was open. Rachel and Kirsty peeked around the door. Inside, they could see a large group of ball boys and ball girls. Each of them held a soccer ball, and they were listening closely to a man at the front of the room. "And remember, it's important to get the ball back into play as soon as possible," the man was saying. Kirsty nudged Rachel. "There is the mesh bag that held the soccer ball," she whispered, pointing at the bag that was now lying empty on the floor. "But where is Stacey's magic soccer ball?" Rachel whispered back, searching all the balls in the room for the telltale sparkle of fairy magic. "Nobody in here seems to have it. The goblin's not here either," Stacey said with a frown. "He must have gone away with my ball." "We better go," Kirsty muttered. "Otherwise that official might see us and call us into the meeting. The girls slipped away quietly and headed down the hall. Where shall we look for the goblin now? Asked Rachel. The girls stared at each other in desperation. All of a sudden, they heard a croaky voice singing a soccer cheer. Go, goblins, go! Kick it high, kick it low, win, goblins, win! Crush their toes, kick their shins. Kick their shins? That's not a very nice cheer, Rachel said. Then it's a goblin for sure, Stacey cried. After him, Kirsty shouted. Stacey and the girls darted around the hall corner. Ahead of them, they saw, soccer showdown. After him, Kirsty shouted. Stacey and the girls darted around the hall corner. Ahead of them, they saw the goblin. He was still singing to himself in a croaky voice. He was running along and expertly dribbling a soccer ball headed ahead of him, occasionally flicking the ball up with his toe and then heading it forward. Wow, Rachel panted as they chased after him. He's better than some of the Tempest Rovers players. That's the magic of my soccer ball at work, Stacey told her. He's getting away from us even though he's dribbling that soccer ball. Kirsty pointed out as the goblin headed towards a door at the end of the corridor. Girls, you'll be much faster if you're fairy size, Stacey said, raising her wand. Rachel and Kirsty skidded to a halt, and Stacey showered them with fairy dust. They instantly shrank to become tiny fairies with glittering wings on their backs. As Stacey and the girls swiftly flew down the hallway together, the goblin swung the door open and skidded outside. He didn't even bother to close the door behind him again. A moment later, Stacey, Kirsty, and Rachel reached the door and peeked outside. Oh, it's the stadium parking lot, Rachel said. But where's the goblin? Asked Kirsty, staring at all the buses and cars. Parked in a neat rows. A lot more soccer fans were arriving now. It was getting close to the start of the game. He must be somewhere in the parking lot, Stacey decided. We'll have to search for him, but we can't let anyone see us, Rachel and Kirsty nodded. Followed Stacey high up into the air. They hovered above the parking lot so they could get a good view of everything below them. But they saw no sign of the goblin anywhere. Maybe we should split up and search each part of the parking lot more carefully, Kirsty suggested. Rachel? Rachel was about to reply when a strange sight caught her eye. A bus was heading very slowly towards one of the parking lot exits, zigzagging from side to side. Look at that bus, Rachel said to her friend. Why is it leaving before the game has even started? That's strange, Stacey agreed. Let's check it out, Kirsty suggested, zooming downwards. Rachel and Stacey followed as they three of them drew even with the bus through the windows. It's full of goblins, Kirsty cried, looking up and down the packed bus. What are they doing here? Asked Rachel exhaustedly. It's the Goblin Olympic soccer team, Stacey explained, looking worried. They must all be hoping to practice with my magic soccer ball. The goblins were dressed in white jerseys that had a picture of Jack Frost on the front. They all looked extremely proud of themselves, bouncing up and down in their seats and singing loudly. Go, goblins, go! Kick it high, kick it low. Win, goblins, win! Curse their toes, kick their shin. They're not very sportsman-like, are they? Stacey said, frowning. Soccer players never kick shins on purpose. But where's the goblin with the magic soccer ball? Asked Kirsty. Rachel soon spotted the goblin that they'd been chasing was now driving a bus. His face creased in concentration. Look, girl, Stacey whispered, pointing her wand at the goblin's feet. Rachel and Kirsty glanced down and saw the magic soccer ball rolling around on the bus floor. Rolling around on the floor of the bus. Let's find somewhere else to practice our soccer skills, shouted the goblin driver to the rest of the team. We wasted a lot of time, though, moaned the goblin at the back of the bus, just because you got the magic soccer ball mixed up with a lot of human soccer balls. Well, I found it again, didn't I? The goblin at the wheel answered. Anyway, I was just checking out the stadium to find somewhere for us to practice. I didn't know some silly humans were going to be playing a game here today. Can't you drive any faster? Demanded another goblin. At this rate, we won't get out of the parking lot before the Fairyland Olympics start in 6 days, another added. Oh, be quiet, the goblin at the wheel snapped. We got the magic soccer ball, and that's all that matters. Those pesky fairies won't stand a chance of beating us in the Fairyland Olympics. The goblins cheered loudly. Meanwhile, Stacey, Rachel, and Kirsty looked at one another with concern. How are we going to get the magic soccer ball back, Kirsty whispered as they hovered beside the slow-moving bus. There are too many goblins. Rachel thought for a moment. Maybe we can distract the driver while Stacey sneaks onto the bus and gets her soccer ball, she just suggested. Good idea, Stacey agreed. When I try to pick up the ball, it will immediately shrink to its Fairyland size. It's going to be difficult for me to get close to it while it's rolling around on the floor of the bus. You'll have to buy me as much time as you can, girls. We will, Kirsty said in a determined voice. Stacey pointed her wand at the driver's window, and with a few sparkles of fairy magic, it slid open a crack. Good luck, girls, Stacey whispered as the three of them quickly zipped through the open window. Kirsty and Rachel both felt her very nervous as they watched Stacey zoom down towards the magic soccer ball. Would their plan work? Go home, goblins. Go home, goblins! Let's give this goblin a surprise, Kirsty whispered. Let's give this goblin a surprise, Kirsty, Rachel whispered. Kirsty nodded and followed Rachel. The two fairies landed on top of the steering wheel. Hello, Rachel called, waving at the goblin. Remember us? Kirsty added. The goblin's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Are you girls or fairies? He asked, scratching his head in confusion. Then he let out a cry of rage. Ooh, you're both! He took his hands off the steering wheel and began swatting fiercely at the girls. As Rachel and Kirsty dodged out of his way, the bus began to swerve wildly. Kirsty glanced glanced down and saw that the magic soccer ball was rolling around all over the place. Stacy couldn't get close to it. "Look out!" Rachel gasped suddenly as she saw that the bus was heading right for a row of parked cars. "Hit the brakes!" Kirsty shouted. Looking scared, the goblin slammed on the brakes. The bus jerked to a halt, barely nudging one of the cars on its bumper. Rachel and Kirsty and the goblin breathed sighs of relief. "Don't panic!" the goblin driver shouted. "I have everything under control." But at that very moment, the airbag inside the steering wheel inflated. It got bigger and bigger until it covered the goblin's head. "Help!" sputtered the goblin. "I've been attacked by a giant balloon!" But instead of rushing to help their friend, the other goblins on the bus roared with laughter. Rachel and Kirsty grinned at each other. Now, then searched around for Stacy. Now that the bus had stopped, she was able to reach her magic soccer ball. As soon as she touched it, it quickly shrank to its Fairyland size. With a bright smile, Stacy scooped up her precious soccer ball and zoomed upwards to join Rachel and Kirsty. "Thanks, girls," Stacy laughed. "Now let's get out of here." The three of them fluttered through the open window again. Just as the driver goblin struggled free of the airbag, he glanced down and scowled when he saw that the soccer ball was gone. "Those fairies stole the magic soccer ball," he shouted. The goblins scrambled off the bus as quickly as they could to race after Stacy and the girls. The three fairies hovered in mid-air just out of reach. The goblins, you goblins had better go home and start practicing your soccer skills," Stacy said sternly, "because now you won't have the magic soccer ball to help you." The goblins grumbled and moaned when they saw the sparkling soccer ball tucked safely under Stacy's arm. "Why didn't you stop them from taking the ball?" shouted the driver goblin to its friend. "Don't blame us," the other goblins insisted. "This is all your fault." "Off you go back to Fairyland," said Stacy. The goblins muttered angry and stuck out their tongues at Stacy and the girls as they stomped off. "They have a lot of soccer practicing to do now," Stacy said with a grin. "But if they do win at the Olympics, at least they'll have won fair and square. Now I need to go right back to Fairyland and tell everyone the good news. But first, there are a few things I must make right." Stacy touched the magic soccer ball with her wand, and a sparkling burst of golden light fizzed briefly around it. Rachel and Kirsty watched as Stacy checked that the car the bus had bumped into wasn't damaged. Then she pointed her wand at the bus. A burst of fairy dust surrounded it, rolling it gently back into an empty parking space. Finally, Stacy led Rachel and Kirsty back into the stadium. There, another cloud of fairy dust turned the girls back to their normal size and returned them to their original helmets. "Thank you again, girls," Stacy said, her eyes twinkling. "Everything will be fine with the games between Tippington and Compton now, and it's just time to go and have a good time." Rachel and Kirsty waved at Stacy Rachel and Kirsty waved as Stacey flew high above their heads. Goodbye, they called. Stacey waved back and blew the girls a kiss. Then, with a sly smile, she began dribbling her magic soccer ball from toe to toe in mid-air. The next second, she and the ball both vanished in a cloud of fairy sparkles. Now we can really enjoy the game, Kirsty, Rachel said happily as they rushed back to their seats. It's great to know that Stacey has her soccer ball back. Kirsty grinned and nodded. Yes, and let's hope the Tippington Rovers win, she cheered. Okay, I'm done. Bye. See you next time.